Okay, so we'll try this again. 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 Can anybody hear? We'll try this again. Can anybody hear? We'll try this again. Sir. 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 Can anybody hear? We'll try. Here. Try to cut that out. Okay, how about now? Anybody in the chat confirm that my sound is working fine now? I am still, learning this stuff as I go. Okay. Well, I'm gonna be using this channel to I mostly talk about tech stuff, mostly talk about and so I guess I'll start with how I came to Linux and why, and I started talking about it on the last stream, but I guess that went south. And so basically I turned to Linux because I got a computer back that sorry, I'm kind of like I was saying before, I had this Gateway that it was still on its warranty, but the Geek Squad decided that when they sent my computer back to me with the replacement hard drive, that it did not require an operating system on it. And so, I had taken a computer class in college before, and I heard the teacher talk about Linux, about how it's free, and and it doesn't cost anything, because the big issue was I was trying to get Windows 7 on the computer. This was back in the 7 days, and I couldn't get it past the 30-day trial, right? So basically I had a paperweight, and so I googled Linux, and back then the big thing was Ubuntu 10.04, I think it was. It's 2010 this was happening, and I installed Ubuntu 10.4, and it was a learning curve, because it didn't come with a lot of things that come built into Mac or Windows. You know, Linux has come a long way since the 10.4 days. But for some reason I just couldn't get enough of it. And hello, Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, like I was saying, I had 3 laptops at the time. I had a lot of Macs. I loved Mac back then, and I think the reason was it was just a smooth system. It just worked. But I also had a Windows 7 machine, and then I had the Linux machine. So I kind of looked at it as I had the best of, you know, all 3 worlds. But I found myself using Linux more often. You know, my dad was a DJ, and I found Mix, MIXXX, and I was able to run the equipment, and I could fade into another song, fade, do everything you could with like a turntable. And like basically, after a while, I fell onto some bad financial luck, and I had to sell all my computer stuff. And I had 2 MacBook Pros. I had the 2010, 17-inch, a 13-inch, and I sold them all basically. I fell into some tough times, and I needed some extra cash. I went about a year or 2 without a computer of any kind, until I got a Dell from someone, and this Dell, I guess it was given to them by a school or something, because all the apps on it were tied to a server, and so I couldn't run any of the apps that were installed. I couldn't do anything with it. Basically, I wanted to make it my own machine, and by the grace of God, somehow I was able to install Rufus on it and make a bootable USB stick from Ubuntu. Installed Ubuntu on it, went through a couple of crappy laptops, single core, and till I saved up enough money to buy a couple of generic HP laptops off of Amazon. But basically, I distro hopped for a long time. I went from Ubuntu to Fedora, OpenSUSE. Let's see, I tried Mint for a while. I liked Mint, it was stable. But the issue that I had with Mint was that some of the apps were like kind of dated, and it didn't really, you know, I don't know what it was about it, but I started hearing about this Arch Linux, and whenever I had an issue with any other distro, it always seemed to take me to the Arch forums or the Arch wikis, and I started asking myself, you know, what is Arch? What is it actually? And basically I downloaded the ISO. I made the bootable USB, and I booted up into my Dell and saw a command line, and I said, screw that. And then after a while of distro hopping between, let's say, Fedora, OpenSUSE, I stopped using Ubuntu because I found Amazon ads in my dash, and that was a big no-no for me. The reason I got away from Windows is because I couldn't stand ads, and so I went to Fedora, used Fedora for a while, but there wasn't a lot of software available for Fedora, or it was harder to find on RPM than it was to find a dev file. But then I started looking in on Arch's websites in their repos, started looking for the software that I use. Come to find out that it had everything that I was looking for readily available in either the main repos or the AUR. And so I started saying to myself, you know what? I have got to learn this. Is everybody able to hear me okay? Is somebody in the chat verify if you guys can hear me? Okay, good. Started to get a little worried there. It's my first official live stream. And so I'm still learning OBS and all that stuff, you know. But yeah. Yeah, that's basically what pushed me to learn how to install Arch, was the software availability for it. And it was a learning curve, but once I installed it and got it up and running, I can't see myself using anything else now. And you know, as you can tell, I'm running i3 with a bunch of Luke Smith's scripts, his weather, the volume, his battery script, the date, stuff. You know, I got it all off of Luke Smith's GitHub, and yeah, I tweaked a couple of them to get it to run on my system, but yeah, yeah, and then eventually this Christmas I bought a ThinkPad W530, which has onboard graphics, or it has the dedicated NVIDIA graphics with 2 gigs of dedicated RAM, and I only paid $360. Whoop. I only paid $365 for it, and I will eventually max it out to 32 gigs of RAM. And whoop. The baby is waking up. I might have to jump off here in a second, but yeah, this was neat little experiment here. And a little nervous, you know, but well, let me see. Maybe. Let me see. me see if I could turn up the input. How about now? How about now? How about now? Is that better? How about that? How about that? Well, to be honest, I'm using the built-in webcam and the built-in microphone. So that's probably why the quality isn't that great. I am planning on buying an actual mic and like a Logitech webcam so I can make this a little better. Unfortunately, I work in a supermarket. I don't make that much money, so I kind of buy these things in stages. But yeah, so yeah, just trying this out for now to see how it goes, see if I can build up a... I mean, as you could tell, I'm not that versed. I'm not that versed with OBS, as you could tell. I don't have that great of an overlay or anything. There's basic text. I literally started using OBS last night. Testing it out, see if I can get it to work. Haven't had a computer that could handle it till now, so it didn't make sense to use it till now. But I don't know, I might try distro reviews. I might try maybe software reviews, app reviews. I don't know yet. I don't know. I do have a 6-month-old baby, so finding the time to stream can be difficult. Like if he wakes up now and starts crying, I gotta shut this off and go tend to him, you know. But yeah, I figure you guys will understand. Well, I switched to Linux full-time back in 2015. I've been using it since 2010 though, off and on. And I got into Backtrack for a while, Backtrack Linux. But the first distro I used was Ubuntu 10.04. It was 10.04. And I started using Arch, I think it was in 2015. I did my first Arch install. Whoop. Here, give me 2 seconds. I will be right back. sorry about that, guys. My son woke up, so just had to go grab him. But yeah, my first Arch install was in 2015. I got it working. It was, and the main reason that I use Arch now is because I've hopped between OpenSUSE, Fedora, Ubuntu, and each one I either had to hunt for PPAs for Ubuntu, hunt for repos for Fedora, and with OpenSUSE, I always ran into an issue sometimes when I tried to install things. It would say, it would pop up with these options and say, oh, do you want to break the system, and I can't meet this dependency, do you want to break the package or whatever, and sometimes repos would break. But I've never had that issue with Arch. Never. Everything's either in the main repo or in the AUR. And I've never had a package break like that. And so that's why I use Arch. I attempted Gentoo at one point, got it up and running with a full Plasma 5 desktop and everything, full KDE. It took me a week to compile everything, but I got it installed, it was running. And then it wanted a whole day to compile Firefox. And I mean, I followed the guide for the make.conf file, and it said, you know, it had a way to tweak it so that it would compile multiple packages at once, and it said do this based on your specs, and I followed it to the T, and it still compiled wicked slow. So I just didn't see the practicality of it, so I went back to Arch. And you know, now I use Arch, and I used to use I used to use the full desktop environments, but you know, KDE I found was a lot, the core of KDE I found was a lot faster than GNOME. Right? Like, I like KDE as the core system, as the core, like the base, more than GNOME or, you know, things like that. But I found that a lot of the KDE applications, such as, let's say, Kmail or online accounts, were very buggy or very slow or very boggy. And I always found myself falling back to GTK apps to get that stuff done. And so I went back to GNOME for a while. And basically because I feel like my apps should be uniform. Hang on. No, he woke up.
Aw. Did your bubble teeth kind of funny?
Oh, hang on a second.
Oh, you are.
Yeah. Well, I got a chat going. I don't know. What? No, I shut the camera off right now. And the input. while I talk to you so they don't hear that. But
are you okay with them? Or do you want to swing?
I don't know if you want to take them.
I have to let the butter so they stink. I mean, what's on?
This is so that I can see what the video's doing. Right, so I can see what it's doing for other people.
I was gonna say, why don't you let them watch it and see, I guess. Or no, you have a whole other laptop.
I know, but that one's not set up. It's running Fedora. I don't have anything installed on that right now.
I guess I'll do one. I was having mommy time. You want to sit in your swing with Daddy and watch Daddy?
You want to do that?
You might. Yeah, let me go. Should I recline it just in case? Should I recline it?
You could. I mean, I had him asleep for a while.
In this or in this?
No, he was in his crib for a while. I started crying midstream.
Oh. He's like, Dad, who are you talking? Who are you talking to?
It seems like I'm joining. I mean, it's a community. It really is. It's a community.
He might just be content with sitting in here and stuff. Let me see if I can find him.
I mean, I did tell him that I got the baby here, and if I need to tend to him, I just hop right off. Yes, Kitty Man subscribed to me too. He tried to watch my first stream, but it bogged up, so I had to start a new one.
You think these will break off if you eat it?
Yes.
If you figure it out?
Alright, maybe.
Oh, it's this thing. This should go bad.
Yeah.
Or you can rip.
Okay. Maybe snack. Cause I'm gonna be hopping off this. Like, I don't know how long I'm gonna keep this going. Yeah, that works. You watching me? Okay, I'm back. So we'll keep this up as long as the baby stays calm. But yeah, you guys in the chat, is there anything you guys want to talk about, or any questions, or? Yeah, so my basic i3 setup is, well, see, I'm not a programmer. I'm not well versed in coding or anything, but I tried to mess with i3 anyway to try to learn it, and I took a lot of tips from Luke Smith and you know, DistroTube DT. I saw him using tiling window managers, and I said, you know what, I want to get into that because it runs what I need, only what I need. There's no bloat, which, you know, hello Steve. Steve's very own is in the chat. Yeah, I'll be doing this as long as my 6-month-old son stays calm. And yeah. But yeah, I got into i3 because I found that no matter what desktop environment I run, there's always extra stuff and things that don't work and things that are buggy, and it just nags at me. That's just one of my pet peeves. It just nags at me when there's something sitting there that I know doesn't work and it's just sitting there taking up space. And so I decided to try to get into the minimal, just install what I need when I need it, and you know, like, I know that everything on it just works. And the keyboard shortcuts, I've gotten used to them, and the i3 config files, very easy. It was very straightforward, very easy for me to figure out what does what, how to configure certain things. And you know, I downloaded a bunch of scripts from Luke Smith's GitHub to run in i3 blocks. So what you see up here, the i3 blocks, basically the widgets, the little panel widgets at the volume, and I mean, but it's weird though, because i3 is supposed to be wicked hard, but ever since I started running it, I can't see myself running anything other than i3. And I mean, it was a challenge when I got the new ThinkPad to get Arch working with it, to get, you know, i3 working with it, but I got it running. I got it running the way I wanted to. And yes, they do. Yes, they do, Steve. I mean, it also depends on what you want to do with it, too. I mean, like, I love Arch, I run Arch, but would I recommend Arch to everybody? No. Yeah, like, I mean, I would run Arch on the server, but would I run Arch on someone else's server? No. So, well, yeah, for me, if my Arch system were to break, because it was a bit of a pain to get the NVIDIA graphics working with Arch. Mostly because I think that this one comes with the Intel integrated graphics and an NVIDIA card in it. And so the real pain was getting it to switch between the two properly and get it to work with my external display. Because as you can tell, I have two displays. I have this is the regular, my main the internal display that came with the ThinkPad, and this one's my external monitor, the way I extend it. So I have the ThinkPad right here, and I have the external display over here, and it worked. Multiple monitors, I've been spoiled by them. Right? I could deal with a single display if I'm on the go and I have my laptop on me, but I've been very spoiled by the multiple monitors, and it works surprisingly very well with the tiling window managers, because I can dedicate this whole screen to one app and this one over here, and it's very organized, it's very stable. I like it. And well, yeah, this is my first stream. I know it doesn't look as professional or as purdy as everybody else is in the community, but everyone, we all start somewhere, right? So hopefully I'll do more of this as I get, more used to OBS and other video editing software and whatnot. But like what I was saying earlier, if my Arch system were to ever break on me, the most of a distro hop that I would do would be Manjaro. Right, because I'm not gonna stray too far from the Arch world, because I'm hooked on the AUR. I'm hooked on even the main repos are massive, and it's just so easy to use. Exactly, Steve. You should have seen me when I started this thing. I was nervous. The stream there was some weird feedback coming off of the mic. I was struggling to get it working, and I guess it's just getting used to it, I guess I'll start it off simple, doing these discussions and stuff, and I haven't figured out how to get other people on the stream like other people do. Like I'm not sure how to get that into OBS just yet. I'm learning this as I go. John, I will try to make pre-recorded videos too. It's like I said, I have a kind of a hectic job. I work at a supermarket in the meat department, and I'm one of 3 people in that meat department. That's including the manager. So like my schedule can be hectic, especially at the beginning of the month, because everybody's rich for that first week. But yeah, I'm I'm trying to get used to Kdenlive too. I hear that's a good app to edit videos, and I have OpenShot too. I don't know if I'll be using that at all. I think OpenShot. Oh. So Steve, what do people mostly use to get the chat going? I might give that a shot. Is it Hangouts, or I've heard of Zoom, but I guess you have to pay for more functionality with Zoom. I do have Hangouts. Oh, so it's not... Oh, so you just do Hangouts and record the screen and record the display on the... Yeah, that's what I saw on the website. Zoom will get you 40 minutes, the free version anyway. I'd rather use one that'll be free and, you know, allow me to put as many people on it as I want. He must be paying an arm, foot, and a leg for it if he is using it, John. I mean... I will try to use this channel to maybe... So it says select Hangout Live, Hangouts Live, then you can have guests. So that's all through Hangouts itself, or just, or oh, so there's a way to do it in the studio itself. So there must be a way to get Hangouts to run through OBS then. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm asking stupid questions, but... Oh, right from the website. Right from YouTube itself, not through OBS or anything. Oh, yeah, YouTube Creator Studio. Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah. Yeah, I'll give that a shot sometime. I mean, if anybody would be interested in that. I mean, I started getting into Switch to Linux. I got into his channel and I started catching the live channels, and I really started to enjoy this community, And once I got a computer, this ThinkPad here that could create content, I said, you know what, I owe it to the community to make some content too. I should use what I have available to contribute to the community as whatever I can, And yeah, I would definitely watch that, Steve. I mean, I'm into learning. I'm into learning whatever I can. I mean, my whole thing with Arch is that, like, I would put Manjaro on this, but if I put Manjaro on this before I got Arch working on it, I would feel defeated, right? Like, I would feel like Arch beat me, and like I felt like Gentoo was a challenge meant to be beaten, and I feel like Arch is a challenge too, meant to be conquered, if you will. But it's like I said, I I love Manjaro too, and I would install it if this ever breaks. Just because I don't know how to put it. It's just something about Arch-based distros that I can't see myself running anything else. I just can't see myself running anything else other than OpenSage. That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. And I mean, it's like I said, I have 2 generic HPs that I bought from Amazon, and I'm not sure what the model numbers on them are. All I know is that when I bought them, they had quad-core processors in them, and I maxed them out at 8 gigs a piece. So they were decent machines for about $300 a pop. One of them is Intel, the other is AMD, and they worked for a while for what I wanted, for, you know, basic things. But I was actually watching Spatry, one of Spatry's, like, one of the first videos he made when he came back, and I had seen ThinkPads before for cheap, but none of them were too much more impressive than what I already had. But Spatry, he brought up the ThinkPad W530, and he said this thing can render 1080p. And so I says, you know, wow, that thing, it must be a good machine. So I looked it up. I found it on Amazon for about $500. I realized you can max it out at 32 gigs, and it had an NVIDIA dedicated graphics to it. I says, you know, why haven't I been buying ThinkPads? I said, I wish I knew about these things before I bought these 2 things. But yeah, I bought the ThinkPad W530, and I had 2 4 gig sticks lying around, so I upped it to 16 gigs. It's got 16 gigs in it right now, and it's got an i7. It's got an i7 CPU in it, and so far I've gotten it to run Doom 2016. You know, not well, mind you, but it ran. Had to lower the resolution a tad to get it to run at a decent frame rate, but it ran. I got Rage to run good. Rage runs pretty well, and I'm just glad to have a machine that can run some of the games that I got off of Steam that these machines were having trouble. Yeah, but John, you said that your ThinkPads were maxed out at 16 gigs. That knocks most machines, like a lot of the cheap machines, out of the water today. And so, like, ThinkPads, I think, are very powerful for what the money you buy them for. You could call this my poor man's gaming laptop. Because I found it for $500 on eBay. Or no, I found it for $500 on Amazon. Sorry. But then I looked up the same model number on eBay and found it for $365. And this thing came with a 240 gig SSD. I put the operating system on that, and I bought the drive bay with a regular terabyte hard drive. So I popped that secondary hard drive in it for storage. So I have my operating system is installed on the SSD, and my home folder is directly mounted to the secondary drive, so I have access to the whole terabyte for storage. To be honest, I noticed a slight boost in speed with the SSD, but I don't know if it's the SSD or the fact that I have an i7 and 16 gigs of RAM now. So like everything is upgraded now. So I mean, it's probably partially due to the SSD, but the problem is the SSDs are not cheap. They're very expensive for very little storage, and so I had to get the secondary hard drive to be able to store all my music and stuff. And, you know, Doom 2016 turned out to be a 60 gig file, which you download and install a couple games that big on your SSD, you're gonna run out of storage fast. So yeah, the ThinkPads are very durable, John, and that's what pushed me to get it too. Was but also Luke Smith, he has a ton of ThinkPads, and he highly recommended them as they're very Linux friendly, which I can attest to that. I got Arch on this, and the only hiccup was with the NVIDIA graphics. You know, getting it to switch between the two. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to be doing that from now on. Yeah, I'm going to be buying nothing but ThinkPads now. Maybe a ThinkCenter or a ThinkStation as a desktop. But I'm thinking I'll be sticking with IBM for a while. Because I mean they're very affordable for the specs you're getting, and they're very durable, and the fact that they're Linux friendly, that was a big what's the word I'm looking for? That was a big, you know, it was a big part of why I decided to buy one. I know, right? This one was the model I have now, the W530, is I believe it's a 2012 model. And I'm impressed. I'm impressed because I used to have a 17-inch MacBook Pro. That was my baby. That was rock solid. Apple has changed, I would say. Like, maybe it was on its way here back when I bought my Macs. But back then you could open it up. The unibody was amazing because you just had to take off that one piece and then everything was right there. Very easy to get to the components. Mac OS was Unix based. It was rock solid. And I wasn't exactly your average Mac user. I was a Mac fanboy. I swore by it. But I got it to do things that probably Apple would frown upon. You know, I had a lot of... I know. Yeah, they are, John. I had a student discount on it though back then because I was going to this Porter and Chester, which is a trade school here in the States, here in my region. And well, honestly, John, I like that everything just worked on it, and very rarely did I encounter a bug. Very rarely did I encounter any issues with it. I like there is a certain attractiveness of a system that just works. But to be honest, nowadays I can't see myself buying a Mac again. Just because of the trajectory the company is on, and because I'm very, 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 very used to Linux now. And I went to Best Buy a few days ago, or about a month ago, and checked out on one of the Macs on display, and it's just not it's not what they used to be. The way that they're putting that T2 chip in them, or what is it called, 2T, or what, the one that doesn't let you refurbish it, the one that's going to check. A lot of people on these different channels talked about this thing. I don't like that they're making the screws special. I don't like that they're making them difficult to tinker with now, because it's a lot cheaper for me to fix a machine myself, or to refurbish it myself. And exactly, John. And that's my problem with it. If I paid for a machine, it should be mine to do what I want with it. And if I break it, I break it. That's my fault. But the point is that it should be my machine. I agree, John. It doesn't align with mine either. And the other thing that got me was the I don't know if they're still doing this, but I heard that they're moving their headquarters to China, which means that the business is going to basically be run by the Chinese government now. Which means that all of our personal passwords, all of our data, everything that's on the iCloud or whatever, is going to be filtered by the Chinese Communist government. I mean, if you're on Apple products. I have an issue with that too. I don't need a social credit score. Well, I heard conflicting reports on that one, John. I heard some people said that they changed their mind on it, but I heard that last I heard they were moving they were moving something to China. And the thing about the Chinese government is that if you run a business, you have zero corporate tax on the condition that you let the government control your business. And so I have an issue with that. And I mean, that's just stuff that I heard through the grapevine. I don't know if it's, I don't know how true it is, or, you know, But yeah, though, I mean, right now, I love my Arch system. And who knows, now that I have 2 spare laptops, I might, maybe I'll attempt another Gen 2 installation. Things like that don't really do me much good because I'm not a coder, if you will. I tried to learn how to program, how to code, tutorials point, you know, certain things. I just haven't had that aha moment where I'm just like, oh, now I get it. It makes total sense to me. Like, I get certain things about it, but I don't understand enough that compiling every app from source code is gonna benefit me in any way at all. So yeah. And I mean, I look at the i3 config file, and I understand enough of it that I can get it to what I want it to be. Like, I could bind a sim, I can bind a key. Well, I'll start doing that. Like, whenever I have free time, I'll try to learn a tiny bit. Because, like, the whole reason I got into i3 too was to try to immerse myself into the code. And I was looking at, you know, Luke Smith's i3 scripts, or his i3 blocks scripts, try to understand them and try to tweak them, and I did a little bit with them. The block you see here that's displaying the kernel, I wrote that. Yes, John, that's what I've been looking for. Because, see, I've been going to websites, like getting, you know, like Tutorials Point. They have free videos on this stuff. But the problem is that, like, I have, like, very specific questions about it. And there's, like, the books they gave me doesn't explain, like, everything in it, in the code. So, like, I could be looking at a piece of code, and, like, there'll be, like, this one little snippet that I just don't get, or this one little integer, and it's like, well, how did I up here was equal to 1, and now all of a sudden down here it's 2, and it was just, I just wasn't understanding the consistency with it. And I can get things to print, the print function, I can get it to print function, I could do a few, like, mathematical equations and get it to print out the you know, the answer to the problem. But you know, nothing beyond that right now. MOOCs, M-O-O-C-S. I probably missed what that's an acronym for. Yes, I mean, I guess that any course worth taking that would teach me that is probably going to cost me money. I've made my peace with that. I'll pay for it if I have to. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll look into those. I'll look into that. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I don't care about getting the certificate or anything like that. I just care about, you know, getting the knowledge. Yeah, that's definitely something I want to look into now. Yeah, I mean, like, going back to what I was saying about, like, the community and whatever, and it's like, you know, to be honest, I started getting into these the Linux channels, the techie channels, because I got sick of politics. Everything and everywhere was nothing but politics. Trump did this. Can you believe it? Trump did that. Oh, boo, the Democrats suck. But it's like, you know, at a certain point, it doesn't matter which side you're on. You know, constant politics will drive you crazy. So I needed a break. And I started getting into the communities here, and I enjoy the camaraderie in the chats. I enjoyed the friendliness of the, you know, the people that do the videos, and you know, I suppose you're gonna run into the trolls. You're gonna run into that wherever you go. But for the most part, I've really enjoyed the communities here, and you know, the chats. And yes, John, that's that is a good way to put it. That's what attracted me to it. That's what attracted me to these videos, was the lack of stress. Right? Because if you're listening to stuff about politics, you're gonna get passionate about it, and you're gonna get angry, and you can't see it right now because I got a haircut, but I got a ton of grays coming in. Yes, Linux is more than just a kernel. And I mean, how many channels do you see up talking about how many communities talk about how much they love Windows? Or how much they love Mac? You know, they don't, I don't see that. I find videos about about like why Windows is a headache. Right? Because to be fair, on one of these generic machines, I gave Windows 10 a shot. Right? Because it came with Windows 10, so I says, you know what, why not? Let me boot it into Windows 10 and see what it's about. Oh man, never again will I boot a new machine into Windows 10. I will boot it into my live Arch key and just start going from there. It took, I want to say, 2 or 3 hours just to get my account set up to get Windows 10 all set. And once I got into it, I found it very, very difficult to use. And I couldn't get around as easily as I would on any Linux distro, any desktop environment for that matter. I think it came with Windows 10S, the limited starter version or whatever it was. And I found it very difficult to navigate the start menu. I found it very difficult to find what I was looking for. And I just gave up on it. Yes, John, I like the community for that reason too, that everybody's just nice. I mean, maybe not so much on the forums, but in these YouTube communities, everybody is very nice. Good people. Like if you go to some of the forums, say, okay, well, okay. Well, guys, I'll stay on here for a few more minutes, but then I'll hop off But yeah, it's been an interesting experience doing this live stream thing, and yes, I went I think the YouTube communities like this are a lot nicer than the forums. And don't get me wrong, I love Arch Linux, and you know, I mean, I'm running it. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I got, you know, Arch Linux running on my system here, and for all the good that it is, the Arch Linux forum can be very toxic, and I guess I heard that Manjaro can be pretty bad too, but I was running Manjaro Deepin at one point, and there was an issue going on with the volume key wasn't responding. You know, the little things that were in the bottom, there was like the volume, it wasn't responding when I scrolled, and then there was the little side panel, there were issues on that. And so I went to the Manjaro forum, went to the community edition, the specific forum for that community edition, and came to find out that the issue was coming, like they were already on it. It was already posted. The developer of that particular community edition was already working on the issues that I was experiencing, and they got it done in a very timely manner. And so I give them kudos for that one. I also think that Arch is very easy to roll back packages. Yeah, John. That's it. It's elitism. There is a certain elite. There is a certain level of elitism that I see that comes with people that run Arch and Gentoo and, you know, the distros like that, and like they think there's some kind of god because they installed Arch or something, and it's like, and I just say to myself, you know, yeah, Arch is a learning curve. It is, because it's all manual. You install it from the command line. You gotta get used to that. But yeah, it does, because the camera's right. Yeah, this is my girlfriend Ashley. My girlfriend Ashley. She's taking care of some stuff, and yeah. Steve says hello. Steve's very young says hello. John says hello too. No, it's another. He lives in England. This is this community goes across the pond too. Yes, but it's like I was saying before. Installing Arch, it was a learning curve, and I had many sleepless nights, many headaches, but it just nagged at me until I got it done, until I learned it. And like once I got it installed and once I got it running, I found that it was very easy to maintain. It was very easy to find what I'm looking for. If I'm missing a package, it's readily available, either the repos or the AUR at worst. And I started thinking to myself, wow, this is a lot easier to run than many distros after the installation, after you get used to it. And so I started wondering to myself, like, where's the elitism coming from? What you did wasn't that hard. And like Gentoo, I would say that Gentoo, while it takes a long, it's just time consuming to install Gentoo. But as far as Gentoo is concerned, I find that Gentoo's wiki, the handbook, is a lot more easier to follow than even Arch is. Because I found that the YouTube videos that show how to install Gentoo versus the handbook, they go hand in hand more so than the Arch videos that people make. And so I do find that you know, Gentoo is just time consuming, but it's not difficult to get up and running if you have the time to do it. And I don't have any frying pans over here, so I can get it done. But it's like I said, I have 2 spare computers here, so I might give Gentoo another shot and see how it works. Maybe I'll post a video up here on the progress or whatever on it. Yeah, John, I was shocked about that too. Okay. Yeah, I think the distro that was the worst offender for breakages with package installations, I think, for me, was either Fedora or OpenSUSE. But the last time I ran OpenSUSE full-time was in 2015, a long time ago. So it is possible that they got those issues worked out. I haven't ran it in a while. I've been using Arch exclusively for almost 3 years now. That's not to say I haven't tried out different distros or other things, but yeah, now that I got 2 extra machines, I'll start trying different distributions on those, and just to stay in the know, you know, just to see what everybody else is up to. But yeah, it's true, I haven't. Yeah, that's what I found too, John, is that like we're running i3, and the only breaks that I've had was when I messed up the config file, and it tells me exactly what went wrong, and I just go in and, like earlier today, earlier today, see, I got the, I'll get my config file opened up here. I was trying to bind a couple of terminal apps to the keyboard, because when you try to run a terminal app through Rofi, it doesn't open. So what I did was I set up a bind sim key for HTOP and for Ranger. And when I set this one up down here for Ranger, I actually left out the exec. So when I restarted i3, it gave me an error. But it told me exactly what was wrong, and I went in and I says, oops, you know, typo, my fault. Now it's running fine. And so I have to hand it to i3, and the simpler the desktop environment is, I find the less breakage, the more stable it is, the more it works. And Cloud Ready. I'm not that well versed in the Chrome OS field. I worked on a buddy's machine once for Chrome. He wanted me to try to put Linux on it, and just simple things like trying to find out how much local storage it had. Trying to get it to boot from a USB stick was too difficult. Or, like, I could probably do it, but I would test it on one of my own before I do it on someone else's machine. And I found the Chrome system, the Chrome OS, was at least at that time, was kind of limited in what it could do. didn't seem like something I would run on a regular basis, but I mean, I thought it just worked. It booted up every time, booted into my account. I had to use mine, but yeah, it's rock solid for what it was doing. And let's see. Hey John, my girlfriend Ashley is asking me, what time is it in England right now? Just curious. I mean, we could probably Google it. It is 1:42 a.m. No, we don't need it. It's working fine. Okay. 1:42 a.m.
Why aren't you in bed,
Yeah, I'm a bit of a night owl myself too.
Yeah, and then you don't get up until
Yeah.
I'm guessing this is okay to throw. You just gotta break it down. So this one, that white one, and then I think you're good.
Okay.
I want to put the bins out too, because I don't think they can put out.
Okay, I'll take care of that. My girlfriend does like Linux for what she's seen. She thinks it looks nice, some of the desktop environment. She does. She's not really a techie. Like she does use Linux on a daily basis because she runs Android. She has an Android phone and she uses that. She doesn't really have a personal computer. She just kind of uses the phone for what she does. I've offered her one on my laptops. Yeah, I did. But yeah, she does like it, and because that's all that I would put on any machine I distribute here. Yeah, the other computer. Well, her grandparents have Windows machines. They're both Windows 7. I've offered to put Linux on those. I'm waiting for the okay. I've basically, her grandmother does like nursing and stuff, so she might need Windows, but her grandfather, that machine has Windows 7 on it, has only 2 gigs of RAM, it's crawling, it's got tons of bloatware, and I've just been saying, you know, just make sure to back up all your, we'll have to back up all the data, and I'm thinking Manjaro, because it's Arch based, I'm used to Arch, and Manjaro XFCE I find is very lightweight and very beautiful. It's the most beautiful implementation of XFCE I've seen. And yeah, why does she hate Linux, John? His girlfriend. He says his girlfriend hates Linux. Oh, yeah, the other thing I was going to mention about Arch is there's this Well, but one could argue that Windows takes effort too. Well, it takes effort, I think, to maintain Windows. Oh, the other thing I was going to bring up was, I did, media for this small church that we had, and, we were doing this class that required a DVD, and then we had like a computer with a projector, and projected the video onto it, and they asked me to pop the video in and just like make sure everything worked properly. And so one Thursday we go in, and it's running Windows 7, right? And everything works fine, and I get it, and the next week we go in and they ask me, what's going on with this computer? I check it out, it booted into Windows 10. And they swore to me that nobody's touched the computer since that last Thursday. And I believe them because it ran me through the initial boot process, or the initial setup of Windows 10. And I had to put in my Microsoft account to make the computer usable for the class, and I thought it was kind of creepy that Microsoft did that, but hand on my Bible, I swear that it was true. It's a true story. And back then I heard many stories that Microsoft was pushing it in a regular update, pushing Windows 10 in regular updates. And so I just assumed that that's what had happened. Yeah, it was very creepy. And yeah, I've watched Big Daddy Linux a couple times. It has a hard time streaming. Does it have a hard time streaming it for anybody else? It likes to freeze up on me when I watch Big Daddy Linux. Like, I don't know if it's my internet, or if it's because they're trying to stream in so many people at once, or I don't know if I'll go on it as like this just yet. But I'm open to it. Okay. Alrighty. Yeah, the wife's going to bed, so just saying goodnight. Yeah. Yeah, John, yeah, it's hard to get everybody in on Big Daddy Linux, and I don't know what the issue is with it, but every time I try to watch it, it buffers a lot for me, and like I know we have kind of an outdated modem router, so maybe that's part of the issue, but I don't have that problem with these smaller streams with it, like sometimes, but not a lot. I don't get a lot of buffering, so I mean, maybe it's because they're trying to get everyone streamed in at once from like all over the world. Is that a question for me, John? If I would go on Tas's stream? Yeah, I would. If he were to invite me, or Steve, or anybody, you know. I'm open to it as long as, you know, you know, I'm not doing anything, or the baby's calm and stuff, and I doubt you want me on the stream with a screaming baby, but yeah, I'm definitely open to it. You know, now that I have a machine that actually rendered this stuff properly. Yeah, I mean, if I ever get, you know, Hangouts to work like that for the chats, I'll invite, you know, other people on here. And Steve, I don't know. I don't know. It's part of, you know, part of life. You know, it's precious moments with it. Yeah, I mean, my other machine struggled to run virtual boxes too, because they just didn't have a lot of resources to spare. Now that I have this one, I could probably install more distros in virtual boxes and maybe review them on live streams like other people do, or maybe not like a full review, you know, because it's just my limited perspective. And but I'll run them, maybe give my thoughts on them. Yeah. Yeah, the worst my son's done so far right now is freak out a little bit when I got my hair cut. Because he got used to me, like, if you saw like my test streams last night, my hair was like up to here, and I just got a haircut today, and
I did it.
Yeah, my girl did it for me, and yeah, and when my son saw me, he just staring at me, just like, who are you? Like,
he didn't cry. I really thought he was gonna cry.
It was like he didn't cry, but he was staring at me like, your voice sounds familiar, but I don't know who you are.
Then he was like,
and now he doesn't want to stop touching my head.
you need headphones. You can hear people. Want to borrow mine?
No, this isn't a live chat. This is the chat's in here. These are the people.
But can you hear them?
No, they're not talking.
Okay.
I would have to use Hangouts or something like that. I'm still learning this stuff.
But there's a lot of guys use Google, right? Like Google Hangouts.
Yeah.
And they say they don't want to use Google, but yet they're using Google.
They use it for business. They don't put any. Yeah. Well, I'm guessing I'm gonna hop off soon. I've been on for, good lord, how long have I been on here for? 94 minutes. Yeah, that's about 2 hours, right? Yeah. So yeah, I'll look forward to doing this again. Hopefully it'll be more professional, more you know, systemic. Maybe I'll learn how to put a better banner and stuff like that on the OBS. John says you had a good point about Google Hangouts.
They don't talk about it. They don't like Google.
Well, but
they get away from Google, and then they use Google.
Well, but it's hard to get away from it.
No, but I'm just saying.
It's hard to get away from it, but I know that they try not to put any like personal data or anything on Google. Like Tom from Switch to Linux, he uses it. He uses it just for business. He doesn't put any personal information on it.
No, but I just find it
And yeah. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you just gotta use what works sometimes. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm gonna hop off here. Tonight's trash night, so gotta get some stuff done. So.
I think they call it rubbish overseas.
Or, yeah, it's rubbish. Alright, well, you guys have a good night, and I'll try this again next time. Maybe I'll hop on one of your guys' stream if I get, invited to one. Alright, night guys.